An individual's income is extremely important for the economy. Without good wages, people can't save money. People can't buy things. People need money, and if they don't have enough, that will show up in local businesses. But today we are faced with a big dilemma. Governments are starting to forcefully raise people's wages to a dramatic degree. The negative impact is felt instantly. You came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you. Today we're going to talk about minimum wage. Let's begin. Tim Hortons franchises owned by the children of the founders reduce employee benefits to offset minimum wage hike. What has happened here? Well, for those who don't know, Tim Hortons is a coffee shop, all right? And they are very, very popular here in Canada. They're everywhere. It would be something similar to Dunkin' Donuts from the US, okay? That's what we're looking at here. And there was a wage increase that occurred. And this has two stages here, and they're going to basically about $14 an hour, and then they're going to about $15 an hour. So as soon as they raised it to about $14 an hour, immediately Tim Hortons reacted. So we're going to get into that for just a moment. You saw the same issue taking place in the US, where they said, we need $15 an hour. We need $15 an hour in order to be able to support our lives, right? That's just a fact. So that's what they're saying. They're coming out here and suggesting we need more money. We need the government to mandate what that should be, and it should be $15 an hour. In Canada, you do the exchange rate, and it would be somewhere around $19. That's incredibly high, in fact. The issues that I have with this is that, number one, the government is deciding what a business should pay. Now, maybe there was a time in history when that would have been more necessary. Today, however, I don't think that's the case. I don't think that a government should decide what you should pay anybody else. Now, you could say that a certain wage, let's say $1 per hour, is unfair, and perhaps that's the truth. But there's a lot to think about here. It's not just how much do people get paid. People don't get paid enough, as far as I'm concerned, but a government shouldn't decide that. I'm looking at what people's salaries are over the years, and that has been declining in real terms. We are seeing the average wages decline. There are many reasons for this, but I don't think that the government should be stepping in and saying, okay, instead of paying all these people $10 an hour, we're going to pay them $15 an hour. That's going to solve the problem. It doesn't solve the problem. There are many more economic factors which are at work here. If assets were cheaper, people would buy more assets. If there were ways to make money instead of being restricted all the time every which way, and you're going to have capital gains on everything, and you're going to have all these taxation and everything else, it's a big mess. Get rid of all that. All of a sudden you have a much better idea of what's happening. Many people just see it as the sort of socialist environment where the government should be able to step in and say, no, we don't let all the rich people out there make all the money. We want those in the middle class and lower class to be able to make more money. And how we'll do that is we will make sure that we get those people in government who are going to vote in policies that help out the little guy. Doesn't that sound great? I would say, just on the surface level, absolutely. Why wouldn't you want to help out the little guy? It seems like an obvious thing. But there's much more to it than that. You can't just go into a person's business and suggest something. I can't come into your house, knock down the front door, and say, no, you can't have carpet in your house. That's terrible. You need to have hardwood floors. And then I say, well, this is all I can afford. I can only afford carpet. And I say to you, no. You get the hardwood in there, or you can't have the house. That's what's happening here. Many people don't see it like that, but that's the way I do. Because you should have freedoms and rights as an individual. There's much to argue here. I'm not a politician. I can't decide. I just see it the way it is, and I want liberty and freedom. I want people to be able to decide that if they don't like that particular law in, let's say, Ontario, they can move to Manitoba. They can move to Vancouver. If I don't like the law that's going on federally in Canada, I can say, look, I'm going to move to the US, I'm going to move to Europe, I'm going to move to a different country. But if all of the places of the world are doing the exact same thing, they're all increasing taxation one way, shape, or form, it becomes a much more difficult task. All right, very quickly, already starting to rant. Employees at Tim Hortons location. By the way, the rule went into effect just a few days ago, and now already, immediately, there was the effect being felt here. Employees at the Tim Hortons locations owned by the children of the co-founders say that the franchise that they have reduced employee benefits and cut paid breaks to help offset Ontario's $2.40 jump in hourly minimum wage. Think about this, over 20% jump. That's an extremely high percentage. Have you ever gotten a raise from your boss? 20%? If you did, congratulations. Most people though, they get 2%, they get 3% maybe, not 20%. It's a very, very big jump. No, they say that, look, we want to be able to continue to do this. It's going to take some time, so we're just going to cut it now, but we promise we'll pay you back later. Those who want to continue receiving dental and health benefits will have to pay a portion of the plan's cost themselves. Those working at the restaurant for more than 5 years will have to pay half. Those working for more than 6 months to 5 years will have to pay 75%. Employee breaks will no longer be compensated. The letter dated December 2017 read, for example, those working 9-hour shifts will be paid for 8 hours and 20 minutes. Those on 3-hour blocks will be paid 2 hours and 45 minutes. Okay, it goes on. There's much more detail there, but you can see where this is going. The business just said, look, we're not going to cut from our corporate profits and see our stock drop. We are simply going to react. That's what businesses will do. If they think that there's going to have to start paying people $15 an hour, they're simply going to say, okay, we have 10 employees today. Tomorrow we only have 8. Sorry, see you later. It's corporate profits. That's what they're going to always be worried about. They're not going to be worried about the little guy. Survival of the fittest, the impact of the minimum wage on firm exits. All right, so you have this coming out of Harvard Business School, and essentially what it said here, I'll read one line. Our point estimates suggest that a $1 increase in the minimum wage leads to a 14% increase in the likelihood of exit for a 3.5-star restaurant, which is the medium rating. But guess what? If you are going to one of these 3 Michelin star restaurants, there's no problem. So the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. I mean, it even shows up in restaurants. That's interesting. Okay, very quickly, I just want to mention 2 things and then we're going to say goodnight. Ramping up the risk. Since the financial crisis, major U.S. pensions have scaled back on safer, what they say safer, investments like bonds while stocking up on the riskier alternatives such as private equity and real estate. And that's what's happening here. You're seeing it going on, that more and more has been pumped into riskier and riskier assets. We're seeing these all of these different types of derivatives going on pension funds. That's ridiculous. Why would they ever be investing in that? At least invest in regular stocks. Come on, equities, get into that, not into these derivatives. That's ridiculous. You have a lot of people whose livelihoods are depending on those pensions, and they will ultimately be destroyed. Venezuelans scour the polluted river for lost treasure. Survival. I'm going to leave it there with that image. It's an extreme example, obviously, but this is what happens. The currency is devalued, the country is falling apart, and ultimately the people at the end are suffering. If you found this video informative, please give me a thumbs up. Last but not least, if you found the video informative, I know you will find my books, The Money GPS, and my newer release, Global Economic Collapse, even more informative. There are links in the description below. Take care.